It's weird, but it makes sense. You can move to a new city, end a relationship, switch jobs, and still feel like nothing's really changed. Ever notice that? Most people believe life only changes when something on the outside shifts. But what if it's the other way around? What if you have to change before anything out there can? Sounds simple, but it goes against everything you've been taught, that you have to hustle, push, do more. But what if the answer is to stop and just feel differently? Hold up, it's not just about changing from within. There's something even deeper, and hardly anyone talks about it. I'm going to show you. This is the key almost no one teaches, and Neville Goddard repeated it over and over. Nothing changes until you change on the inside. Sounds intense, right? But think about it. How many times have you tried to fix your life by tweaking outside stuff, only to end up back where you started? The truth is, as long as your inner state stays the same, life will keep handing you the same mess with different labels. It's counterintuitive, I know. But what if the solution you've been chasing is hiding in your imagination? What if feeling different is what actually opens the door to living differently? I only understood this after years of trying to fix my life from the outside in. Nothing really worked until I found this principle. And no, this isn't just another fluffy motivational talk. We're going deep here. I'm going to show you how to begin a real internal shift, and what happens when you learn to live in the end, feel it as if it's already true, and fully reshape your identity. Get ready to see reality with new eyes, because once you understand what you're about to discover, there's no going back to the old version of you. Most people spend their whole lives trying to fix what's out there, but still feel trapped inside. That's because no external change has any real power unless it's rooted in an internal transformation. You've got to shift internally so the external can finally catch up. Like Neville Goddard said, reality is just a mirror of your consciousness. And changing on the inside doesn't just mean thinking positive. It goes way deeper than that. It means facing the beliefs you didn't even know were sabotaging you, noticing your automatic thoughts, and reconnecting with your true identity. That's the space where your powerful imagination starts to work for you. Anyone looking to manifest consciously has to understand your starting point isn't outside you. It's in the invisible. It's like the real world begins backstage, behind the scenes of your mind. Think of it this way. Trying to force life to change without changing within is like yanking on the leaves of a plant, hoping it'll grow faster. It won't. The roots are what need care, and your roots are your inner state. That's where the law of assumption lives. When you internally accept as true what you want to experience externally, that's why awakening to this principle is so powerful. That's the exact moment when things start to shift, even if nobody else can see it yet. Most people have no idea how powerful their imagination really is. They think imagining is just daydreaming, childish or pointless. But anyone who's studied Neville Goddard knows, imagination is the sacred stage where reality is written. It's where you redefine identity, create future scenarios, and kick off your inner transformation. Everything you live on the outside started there first, in that invisible theater of the mind. Be honest with yourself. Are you using your imagination to your advantage, or are you constantly feeding it with fear, lack, and worst-case scenarios without even noticing? Ever notice how top athletes visualize their wins before the competition? They train not just their bodies, but their inner state. That's what it means to live in the end, to feel what you want as real, even when your world looks the same. When you feed your imagination with intention and spiritual persistence, you activate a virtuous cycle of manifestation. The subtle shifts always show up inside first, then the outside starts to follow. Here's a simple exercise. Before bed, close your eyes and picture what it would feel like to already be living your desired reality. Feel it, see it, breathe in that scene. Imagine waking up in that new life. This isn't woo-woo, this is mental training rooted in timeless truth. Your imagination creates your reality. Ignoring that is like sitting on a gold mine and never digging. There's a part of you no one sees, but it controls everything. It's your invisible self, your beliefs, your thought patterns, your emotional memory. If that part stays the same, nothing out here can really shift. Maybe things look different for a while, but you'll end up back where you started. It's like trying to fix a broken mirror by smashing the reflection instead of adjusting your own face. You know when you say, "That's just how I am"? Yep, that sentence reveals what you've accepted as true about yourself. And life doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you believe you are. If deep down you still see yourself as broke, unlucky, or not good enough, no manifestation technique will help. You have to redefine your identity and keep showing up in that new version with spiritual persistence. Here's an example. Picture someone trying to attract money but still seeing themselves as bad with finances. Even if they earn more, they'll likely sabotage it. That invisible self influences choices, attracts patterns, and repeats loops. That's the layer where real internal transformation begins to break the old cycle. And the more you nourish this new state from the inside, the more naturally you start to live in the end, where your desire already feels like reality. Living in the end is one of Neville Goddard's deepest and most misunderstood teachings. It means feeling now what you'd feel if your desire were already real. It's not about pretending. It's about shifting internally into that end state and living from it as your truth. When you change from within, you naturally start living in the end before you see a single result on the outside. And that's when your inner world starts pulling all the pieces into motion. It's like stepping into a role and acting as the main character in your new story. If someone wants to be financially free, they begin to think, feel, and act like someone who already is, even if their bank account hasn't caught up yet. That's identity redefinition. Of course, the external world will test you. That's where spiritual persistence kicks in. And if you think this is just another nice idea, wait until you see what starts showing up after just a few days of holding that new state. Stay in it, even when everything outside seems unchanged. Here's a simple tool. Ask yourself, how would I feel if this were already mine? Then stay in that feeling. Practice it before sleep, during walks, while showering. Your powerful imagination will start to wire that state into your subconscious. And once that feeling becomes your new normal, the first signs begin to show up, usually in subtle, quiet ways. Neville Goddard was crystal clear. Feeling is the secret, and it's not just a catchy phrase. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if you don't feel them as true, nothing sticks. It's the emotion that bonds your new identity into your system. Think of it like watering a seed. Without that emotional charge, conscious manifestation won't grow. Your imagination needs to be fueled by real emotion to actually deliver results. Picture someone saying, "I am confident," but deep down, they still feel scared and unsure. The universe isn't reacting to their words, it's reacting to their internal state. That's why living in the end means learning to generate the feeling of that desired state. Want to manifest love? Feel loved? Want abundance? Feel the calm of knowing everything is already taken care of. That's how you activate the virtuous cycle of manifestation and start creating true change from within. Here's a great exercise. Think of a memory that genuinely makes you smile. Tap into that emotion, then use it to fuel your visualization of the life you want. The brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined, so the more authentic you're feeling, the more powerful the inner shift. And little by little, those subtle changes start showing up in your outer world. Even if you can't yet trace where they're coming from, you never manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. That's why real change always starts from the inside. It means letting go of labels like, "I'm anxious, I'm unlucky, I'm not good enough," and stepping into a new version of yourself. It's not just about repeating new words, it's about wearing this new identity like a second skin. Identity always comes before reality. Once someone starts living in the end, they naturally begin to reprogram who they believe they are. That's the core of the law of assumption. You claim the version of you that already lives what you want, before any proof shows up. Someone chasing financial freedom, for example, starts to believe, "I'm someone who knows how to prosper." Over time, that identity sticks. Then subtle shifts begin. New habits, more clarity, even your posture changes. Here's a practical exercise. Write on a piece of paper, "I am," and finish the sentence with the version of yourself you want to become. Read it and feel it as real. Do this every day for 21 days and just observe. When powerful imagination combines with feeling, internal shifts start happening in the background. These inner changes may seem invisible at first, but they're the seeds of a transformation that'll soon show up in the physical world. Before anything changes on the outside, something begins to shift on the inside. It shows up in small, quiet ways. You react differently. You feel calmer in chaos. You start making quicker, clearer decisions. These subtle signs of manifestation are actually the foundation. They're like tiny sprouts breaking through the soil before anyone else can see them. You might not have the dream car, relationship, or bank balance yet, but suddenly there's this fresh sense of trust, a lightness, that quiet voice inside whispering, "Something's changing." That's what true inner transformation feels like. It's the virtuous manifestation cycle starting to move, whether others notice or not. Once your inner world stabilizes, your outer world has to follow. Here's a little-known truth. Those internal signs are way more valuable than early external results, because they prove your identity has shifted and that your imagination is doing its job. Most people quit before this happens, not because it doesn't work, but because no one ever explained the process this clearly. So watch for the in-between moments, because when the unseen starts changing, it's only a matter of time before the visible does too. This is where most people slip up, staying in the new state even when nothing on the outside has changed yet. That's when spiritual persistence really matters, because the old world will try to pull you back with delays, doubts, and setbacks. But if you keep holding the inner state as if it's already real, you build a magnetic field that starts rearranging things around you. That's what it means to live in the end, with emotional courage. Persistence isn't about forcing, it's about remaining. It's breathing through doubt and saying, "This is who I am now," even if the world doesn't see it yet. Redefining identity is like turning a ship. It takes time to pivot, but once it's aligned, the new destination is locked in. That consistency creates a virtuous manifestation cycle where your imagination works uninterrupted, and with time, it becomes your new normal. Here's a simple but powerful tip. Set reminders throughout your day, sticky notes, phone alerts, or even a playlist that keep you emotionally connected to the state you've chosen. These tiny rituals anchor you. They keep you in that frequency, and when that feeling becomes second nature, something bigger starts to unfold in ways you couldn't have predicted. There comes a moment, almost magical, often unexpected, when the invisible begins to take form. What you've been nurturing inside, quietly and consistently, starts to manifest outwardly. You notice random messages, perfectly timed opportunities, or doors opening out of nowhere. It feels like luck, but it's not. It's your imagination finally echoing through your reality. The outside world is just a reflection of what you've been living within. It's like reality is secretly listening to every thought you've held with faith, and suddenly, things begin to click, not by accident. It's because you lived in the end, redefined who you are, and stayed persistent with that new feeling. The right people show up. New ideas spark. You make bold decisions without overthinking. Conscious manifestation begins to unfold like magic, but it's really just the science of awareness in action. If you've made it this far, you deserve real credit. Few people have the emotional patience to hold the state before the proof. But once the world starts reflecting your inner change, something even deeper reveals itself. You're not just someone who manifests things. You've become someone transformed. And this version of you starts a new cycle, one that's even more powerful than the last. When your inner transformation starts showing up on the outside, something amazing happens. A virtuous cycle is born. Every win reinforces your inner state, which fuels the next win. You enter a flow where conscious manifestation stops being a struggle. It becomes a natural extension of who you've become. Reality starts to move to the rhythm of your consciousness, and it all comes down to how you feel. That's the beauty of the law of assumption. The more you live in the end, the more natural it feels. And the more natural it feels, the faster it manifests. You start building new mental patterns, emotional responses, and ways of being. Your identity starts solidifying around this powerful imagination until your old self feels like a distant memory. The world shifts because you did, completely and truly. And the best part? This cycle doesn't end. There's always another level of growth, another version of you waiting to be lived. Inner transformation never stops, because consciousness is limitless. With every layer you shed, new paths open up. And that's when life stops feeling like survival and starts becoming conscious creation. But to reach that place, it all begins with one small choice: to change from within. Now tell me, after all of this, can you really keep living the same old way? Can you ignore the fact that your reality is begging you for an internal shift? Because yes, nothing out there will change unless you do. So the real question is, are you ready to take responsibility? Are you ready to stop waiting and start creating on purpose? If that fire's been lit inside you, if that little voice is whispering, "Now's the time," then start small, but start. Change what you say about yourself. Feel what you want as if it's already yours. Live in the end, because feeling is the secret, and your imagination is the key that'll break that old cycle and open a new, powerful one. That's when transformation becomes your way of life. And if this message hit you deep, if it made you think differently or woke something up inside you, subscribe to the channel now. Turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. Around here, we're not talking surface-level change. We're talking about real inner transformation, and you don't want to miss the next step in your journey. If you've made it this far, drop a comment below. I choose to change from within. Let's build a space of real transformation together.